welcome to the show. This is episode 2 of the Life of Gaming podcast, or the Logcast as we call it. And I will be your captain on this wonderful flight into video game awesomeness. And you all remember my co-pilot, Mr. Josh Brandt, the Bearded Wonder.
Hello there. Good to join you today.
Thank you.
James, I do have something to say.
Oh, sure. Go for it.
The Kinect actually has a good use. I saw it today.
What is that?
Well, I'm a physical therapy assistant during the day.
Yeah.
And we just got this thing called Gentronics Therapeutic Therapy, where it uses a Kinect and an Alienware computer, and it can measure range of motion joints, can calculate like weight bearing for each leg.
Huh.
And has all these balance games that utilize like the full body. So I was like, huh.
Wow.
They finally figured it out. So
that's actually kind of cool, though. I mean, in the medical field, that's pretty cool.
Right. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, it's working out really well. And the residents really like to use it. I mean, you do get some feedback issues, of course, but I mean, it works really well.
Huh. So now all we gotta do is find a way to get into the insurance game, and then I'll be good to go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
Well, we'll just try to get this back on track here.
I just thought that was cool.
No, that's actually really cool. And the reason we're here today, guys, we are, two guys just love video games. We've been friends pretty much our whole lives, and we love video games. And once we got married, it got harder to find time to get that gaming time in. And so we just wanted to play some time on the weekends. We could get together and just sort of, talk about our passion. One thing that we really want to do, though, as Josh and I were talking after our first episode, what direction we wanted to take the show. And one thing we decided we wanted to do was to really make this more a community-driven show. Because, we've made our podcast, and we know that there are a lot of other awesome podcasts out there, and other, people that are making YouTube videos, and then, doing unboxing videos, or they're writing reviews, or, all sorts of different really cool stuff. And we really want to feature that on our show. If you're doing something like that, we would love to have you come on our show and just talk about what you do. And really, to kick that off this week, we have our first guest on the show. We would like to welcome Bobby from the Geek Guru. Bobby,
Hey,
how you doing tonight?
Good, very good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate appreciate it and honored to be asked to be here. So, and to be your first guest, that's pretty good.
Cool.
So hopefully this doesn't dive and
Our ratings.
You're gonna crash and burn with us.
No, this
I
could
appreciate
be
it.
awesome, man. Thank you for coming on the show for us, man. This is great, especially in somewhat of a short notice. But just let our listeners know a little bit about you. Our last show, Josh and I, we just sort of told people who we are, about our family. Not so much about the gaming stuff right now, but more about your family and what you do.
Yeah, I'm married. Been married for 6 years now, and I don't know. I have no kids. I'm trying to think here. I got a dog. That's about it. That's the extent of my kids.
I've got a dog too. That's pretty close.
just as bad as a kid, I think sometimes. But I'm a shipping manager for a large floral company on the East Coast. We ship flowers up to all over the country, pretty much. We supply like shopping center, like stores, grocery stores, and things of that nature. So, a lot of the flowers you find in your grocery stores, some of them we supply. Like we hit Walmarts and Sam's Clubs, and over here we have like Acme's and ShopRites and things like that. And I think in the Midwest where you guys are, I don't know if you guys have Jewel. We supply Jewel, and we have a Giant Eagle that we supply. But that's pretty much it.
Well, that's cool.
Awesome.
Well, so what about your gaming background? Like, what got you into gaming? What kind of games do you enjoy playing? Systems, that kind of thing.
I started on the Atari 2600, and
Yes,
my parents got
too.
it for us. Yeah, when we were kids, my parents got it for us, and I don't know, I just got hooked. And it was nothing. Activision games were where I was at when I was a kid. Pitfall
Yes.
2, River Raid, Kaboom. Those were the games that were like the be all end all.
Sure.
But E.T. was your favorite, right?
You know what's sad?
I had that
loved
game.
E.T.
Yeah.
I loved it, but I was a kid. You know what I mean? You don't know no better.
Sure.
Oh,
You don't
yeah,
realize how
yeah.
bad it is. You know.
Right.
It was just kind of cool to watch E.T. float up and down in that stupid pit.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
saw that over
Didn't
and
know
over
what was
again,
going on,
you
but
loved
hey.
it so much.
Exactly. And then I guess the funny thing was the video game industry crashed in the United States, and I wasn't able to con my parents into getting me an NES right away. My parents were like, "No way, you gotta wait." My cousins were all getting NESs for Christmas and their birthdays, and I was sitting there like with this stupid paddle with one button on it, and I'm like,
So
"Come on,
behind
man!"
time.
So finally, a couple of years after the NES launched, my parents were like, "Okay, we'll give you an NES." But me and my brother got good grades for school, and my mom took us out and bought us an NES, and that was it. I mean, I fell in love with Nintendo, and I am a huge Nintendo. I'll go as far as saying I'm a Nintendo fanboy.
Yes.
I will.
Josh
I
does
will
not
at
want to hear
times
that.
attack. I will sometimes, if I feel like Nintendo is wrong, I will call them out. But a lot of times, I believe in the messaging that they have, so I support them. I also support Sony. I like Sony.
There you
I
go.
didn't buy a PS4 yet. I will in
Bloodborne.
June when Batman Arkham Knight hits.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
But Xbox, I'm not really a fan of Microsoft. So that's
It's so funny
Hey,
because I'm
me
like the
too.
opposite, man. I've got a Windows phone, I got a Windows tablet, I got my Xbox
Mr.
One.
Microsoft.
Actually, I'm more Mr.
Yeah.
Nintendo, but I
Yeah.
just really like Windows products for some reason. But that's just me.
Yeah.
yeah. And that's. I mean, look. Let's be honest. They're good at what they do, which is buy up a lot of things and take them and
Yeah.
work them for themselves.
That's very true.
Monopolize. Yep.
You know, but they're very aggressive as well. So
Sure.
they do good with what they have. You know.
Well, yeah, it's like Phil Spencer. He wants to win this generation.
Oh yeah, and
So-
he's doing a really good job. Since
Yeah,
kind of,
he's turned the
taking
whole
reins.
Xbox
Yeah.
One around, so you got to give him credit there.
Absolutely. So
And the thing I'll say about Phil Spencer is he's the one president that it's like Darth Vader. You can't stand what he stands for, but he's so cool you gotta like him. You know,
Yep.
it's like
oh, dude, that's so funny.
Preach it. Yep, it's true.
Phil Spencer is the
Evil
new Darth
Empire.
Vader. Oh, we
it's-
should get that hashtag going on Twitter.
There we go.
Oh man, dude, that's so
hashtag
funny.
Phil is Darth Spencer.
Oh, Darth Spencer, that would be hilarious. Oh man. Well,
So that's
sure. Well, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your channel that you were telling us before the show. It's something that you've started, somewhat recently, but let our listeners know about your show and what kind of things you do on there.
pretty much. I was telling you guys I started in September, and I've been going for about 5 months now, and I'm starting to hit strides now where I'm starting to get some subscribers. I think I'm up to 250 something. At the beginning of the week, I was at 140. So
Wow.
I ran this contest where I'm giving away a Nintendo 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS XL, as well as 2 Amiibo, Toon Link and Bowser. And that contest actually ends tomorrow, which will probably be too late for anybody to really get in. But that's fine. I constantly run contests, and I kind of started the contest thing because the people that were scalping the Amiibo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was able to pick up 1 or 2 extras occasionally, and I was like, I'm just going to give them away. You know what I mean? I kind of want to go against what they stand for.
Sure.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, and that's my main thing. It's like, and I do unboxings. I just did 2 unboxings this week. I did one of my wife's 3DS, the red one that I got her for Valentine's Day. And
There's
then I
nothing
got,
better than opening someone else's gift.
that was exactly. She's like, well, she was there with me, but I was like, I even said that in the video. I was like, this is kind of strange, opening your gift for, but whatever. And then I got the Majora's Mask 3DS, and I opened that one myself. But I basically just do anything. Right now, it just seems to be a lot of Nintendo-driven stuff, and I think that's mainly because They just seem to be the hot topic right now
Yeah.
with the Amiibo and all that stuff. So that's what I tend to be talking about at the moment. But when I started the channel, it was a lot of like just geeky stuff, Batman, and I'm a huge Batman fan. So that type of stuff. So it's a lot of just anything, a lot of stuff you would basically see on IGN.
Yeah.
That I'm into that stuff. So I'm just talking about whatever piques my interest at the moment.
Sure, and that's pretty much what we do on this podcast as well.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, like, because one thing Josh and I talked about in the last episode, you know, once you become the married life, your gaming budget, it shrinks a little bit. So you can't always talk about the newest games, but I mean, there's always something big in the news, you know, or something along those lines. That there's always interesting stuff to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my thing is like I said at the beginning, I'm married as well. Fortunately, I have a wife that was kind of into gaming as well, so she kind of understands my passion and where I'm at, and she supports it 110%. But I've also learned that, like, there's things that I want. There's, you know, the new 3DS I want. I wanted the Wii U. I got it. I want the PS4. I will get that in June.
Sure.
I just listen. I also have, this is no lie, I have a Batman cookie jar, and I literally throw $10-20 a week in that.
Sure.
And then when stuff comes out, I don't want or need for anything because I just pull the money out and go get it, you know? So,
smart idea.
Saving, huge thing. Saving is a huge
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Just, you know, saving pennies.
Every
chance you
dime.
get.
Yeah.
That's good. That's absolutely a good way to do it. Well, I guess with that, we'll start to get into our news section that we like to call Captain's Log. And I know last time that we had an episode, I promised I would have music written and ready to go for segments. But I started writing it this weekend, and then my mixer busted, and then I tried to fix that, and then I cut my hand open. And so a lot of things happened.
Just your excuses.
What,
just your slacking
what that
excuses.
means,
So,
I know,
James,
Josh,
I guess that
beforehand,
means...
you really wanted to make your own music again. So, Josh, this is our segment, Captain's Log.
Here we go.
Thank
There
you
we
for
go.
that. That was awesome.
That was my drum track. Yep.
Pretty good. Now, you know, one funny thing about the Captain's Log segment, when we made this podcast and we called it the Logcast for short, we were like, well, let's use the word log in all our segments, like, you know, time log for, you know, the games we're playing, and Captain's Log for our news. And so that's sort of why at the beginning,
Not like a log in the toilet, right?
and, you know, that's why at the beginning when I say, you know, this is your captain, it goes from that whole Captain's Log thing. But, you know, I don't have a pilot's license. I'm no captain. I'm more like the Captain Toad of captains. I'm the short white guy that can't jump. Oh boy. Okay, but we'll get into the news real quick. For PlayStation, I guess we'll just start off there. One of the big things that happened recently, the Last Guardian trademark got dropped. And a lot of people started freaking out, saying, "Oh no, you know, the project's finally done. Put a fork in it. It's done." But Sony came out and they said, "Oh no, this has happened before. It actually happened back in 2012." So
Yeah.
people were panicking, but I don't know if this game is still ready for the spotlight. I mean, it's been so long since this game was announced. They said since this game was announced, Naughty Dog alone has released all 3 Uncharted games and the Last of Us DLC, and they'll probably release Uncharted 4 before Team Ico releases one game.
Wow, that's insane.
So
That's crazy.
In other words, if you're the guy that bet on, hey, I'm going to buy every game from Team Ico, and the other guy was going to buy every game for Naughty Dog, then the guy that bet on Naughty Dog is going to get the better deal there, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But okay, Josh, I know you're a big Sony guy.
Yeah.
Don't you feel though at this point they should just pack it in?
Throw in the
Like, it's
towel.
been so long since the last one. It's almost like, you know, like, okay, I know it's been a long time since Mega Man, all right?
Yeah.
And people are like, I want another Mega Man, But at least there's a lot of history for Mega Man. Don't you feel like at this point it's so long that, listen, we should just either turn that game into something else, which a lot of studios do, or just go in a different direction and use that team someplace else?
Well, that's what they were talking about, was changing the name to something else. I love the Shadow of the Colossus. I was a big fan of that, but I now it's going into that Half-Life 3 territory now,
Oh yeah.
where it's just drop it. I mean,
You don't
I
want to turn into another Duke Nukem Forever.
yeah, exactly.
Where it releases
Yeah,
and it's just garbage.
right,
Bro.
right. So I
Well,
don't know
because
where.
I think too, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I think too that the problem is it's been so long that your memories of what the game was are way up here, and then it's going to be so hard for them to match that now.
Sure.
Because now people are
Yeah,
making this game to be like the greatest game ever. That if they don't match it, it's a failure. And they've had so many failures lately with just broken games that like they need to get something out there that's just working and amazing. And I think at this point I would just, if it was me, I would just scrap it and just be like, we
Sure.
need to move on.
yeah, yeah. Or like I said, they could make it into another game, but use the same engine, but it just wouldn't match what they were striving for with The Last Guardian.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but who knows? Who knows?
Well, speaking of Sony games coming out, The Order 1886 just came
Oh
out.
yes.
But before it came out, the big news story, it leaked early. Someone put an entire playthrough up on YouTube, and from beginning to end, didn't skip any cutscenes. It was less than 5 hours. And people started flipping out. You had people on one side saying, this game's going to be great. It doesn't matter how long it is. And you had people on the other side saying, I'm never paying $60 for a game that's 5 hours long. And when this happened, Josh, he texted me and said, man, I have to talk about this on the podcast. And so what we're going to do, we're going to have a new segment. I don't know if this is going to be one we'll keep around. I don't know how many.
It'll
else we'll bring
probably
out.
just last half of an episode.
But this is a new segment we're calling Brant Rants. So we're going to let Brant take over here and tell us how he really
No.
feels.
No, it just goes to show that there's always going to be somebody or people that will complain about anything. And if the Order 1886, let's say the developers came out and said it was a 15, 20-hour game, then there would be people that would complain about, well, this cinematic experience, they're going to push in all this other stuff that doesn't need to be there, much like Alien Isolation's a good example, which people were saying, hey, that's too long. But then if that's like a 6, 8-hour game, then they probably argue about that too. So, I mean, what do you guys think? What length of game do you guys prefer?
Well, honestly,
nowadays?
for me, especially now being married and not having as much time to game, if a game goes over, I don't know, let's say 20 hours, I know I'm probably never going to finish it. So I
Yeah.
think for me, maybe between 10 hours to 20 hours, somewhere in there for me would probably be that sweet spot window. Although certain games come around, like I know Monster Hunter just came out, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and that's the series I know I'm going to put tons of time into. And, something like Fallout, I always put a ton of time into that. But overall, the average game, just basic story, playthrough, I'd say for me, maybe around 10 or 20 hours.
Okay. Bobby, what do you think?
Okay, for me, before I get into that, let me touch on something that
Sure.
you touched on, Josh.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's the beginning of the PlayStation 4 life. So what I felt like, and I said this week, and I kind of got bashed a little bit for it, but this is what I feel. I feel like
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot on the PS4 to play. Now, the hardcore fans are going to spaz, and they're going to be like, no, there's a bunch of great games. No, there's not. There's not. There's a few really good games, let's be honest, but there's not great, and there's not a great abundance of them. But that's every new system's lifespan.
Sure.
I was on the same boat, and I told you, I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, and at the beginning of the Wii U's life, I was like, you guys are crazy, this is the greatest system ever, but I was struggling to myself find games to play. There was good games, and Nintendo makes some of the best games there are,
Oh, yeah.
but at the end of the day, I was playing Pikmin 3, and that wasn't a very long game, and I was acting like it was the second coming of Christ, and, if you look at it, it doesn't matter the length. It matters the quality of the game.
Sure.
That game looks pretty. There's no bones about it. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, everything's going to look pretty on the PS4. So
Right.
my feeling was, hey, look, this is the PS4's Pikmin. It's a short game, but it's a good, solid game. I didn't know the reviews were going to tear it apart.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I just felt like if it's a short game, who cares? It doesn't matter the length of the game. The Last of Us isn't the longest game in the world, but I'll tell you what, it's the best game I played all of last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
picked
last
it up
gen.
last year. It is one of the best games I ever played.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. I mean, and again, Nintendo fanboy here, and that's saying a lot. That was an amazing game. I actually went back since I graduated high school. It's the first game that I actually went back later and played completely through again and beat it again.
I
like
did
a lot of
too.
times I'll beat a game and put it on the shelf. It's
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. So
Yeah.
to answer your original question, to me, I don't care about length. It doesn't matter to me. It's I just want a quality game, something I could dive into. If I play something for 5 hours and I put it down and don't touch it again, as long as I enjoyed them 5 hours,
Sure.
I don't care.
And I think that's why I enjoy roguelike games so much, because your skill determines sort of the length of the game. Like there's a main story that you can go to, like Rogue Legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go play that for 100 hours and still go on and play that. But it also has a main story that you can go through, or Dark Souls for that instance,
Sure.
with New Game Plus. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I mean, let your money do the talking. If you want a shorter game, then yeah, go for it. Buy it, and if you think you like it. But if you don't, then don't buy it. It's simple as that.
Sure.
The only thing that I will say about the length of the game that would have bothered me in that case was if it was it is a $60 game. So that bothers me a little bit. But at the same time, then what do you do about like an MMO that you pay $60 for, and
Yeah.
they keep adding content
Exactly.
for years?
But they charge you for that content.
Not always. Not
No, that's
always.
true. That's
Some of
true.
them are free. Some are free, and you're paying for other things, like you're maybe paying for weapons or clothes or armor or things like that. You're not necessarily paying for the add-on content. Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I mean, it's just I think it's a catch-22,
Yeah.
pretty much. But
Yeah,
I
pretty
don't
much.
have a problem with it at all.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on to Xbox from there. One big thing that they announced, I believe it was last E3, the Xbox was super excited about. They were bringing back Phantom Dust, which a lot of people, I mean, including myself, don't remember it. I mean, it was an original, I was going to say Xbox One, original Xbox.
The
game.
one Xbox.
Exactly. The original one Xbox. And I never got around to that, but they were going to bring it back. And the studio that was making that, Darkside Studios, they closed their doors. So that game, if they were expecting it to come out this year or now ever, they say it's still in development, but I kind of think they have to say that just so people don't, sort of soften
It's
the blow.
definitely not coming out this year.
Exactly. And who
Yeah.
knows? To me, I think that game is just going to go in limbo now. I don't really know what's going to happen to it.
What kind of game? What do you know, James? Was it like I heard like it's a card
Yeah, it's kind of
battler
like
game.
It's kind of like, from my understanding, it was an RPG that used like card battling systems. So I haven't looked into it that much, but I have about the exact same understanding of the game as you do, which isn't much.
It'll fade to dust.
Phantom Dust.
Yes.
Oh man,
Yes, gotta love them.
that's right. The other thing with somewhat Xbox related, but it also affects Sony. EA came out and they said, yes, we are making Titanfall 2. We're working on that right now. But they said it's going to have a wider footprint. It's not going to be just one console anymore. So obviously that means it's going to be coming to PS4 as well. So I know over time, exclusive games are going to spread out. But with Titanfall coming out, it's supposed to be this big game. And I had it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I actually joined a league. But I guess before I go into that, if I hadn't joined that league to play in and go, do tournaments and things like that, I probably wouldn't have played it as much as I did. Shout out to Team Wampa Stompa, by the way. That's the team I was on. But we did pretty good. I think we placed like third in our league. But if I didn't have that league, I probably wouldn't play it as much, just because it was strict multiplayer. But do you think that with Titanfall 2 now spreading out, do you think it's going to have a big effect on Sony? Are the Sony people going to say, yes, I can play this game now and go out and buy it? Or are they going to be like, well, it was an Xbox game, I don't know if I want to touch that?
I think it's more if it's their type of game, they're going to go out and buy it no matter what. To me, Titanfall never really appealed to me, just because I'm not an online multiplayer shooter. I'm more for the single player experiences.
Sure.
So I'm sure the Call of Duty crowd are going to jump all over this if they weren't able to play it before. Bobby, what did you ever play it at all, or?
No, I'm not a big first-person shooter fan.
Yeah.
I have a weird issue where I actually will get nauseous. Now,
I've heard
that I've heard it's frame rate issues, that if it's not 60 frames per second, but I don't know what it is. Like, I could play for about an hour, and then I start getting a headache, and then I'm like, man, I'm getting seasick. And then I'll have to stop and put it down. But that said, I think in this particular situation, I think you're going to find it's going to be the Call of Duty situation where, yes, people play it on PS4, but I think the ravenous fans are on Xbox.
Sure.
And I think that's where it's going to stay. I think it's a very similar situation as the two. I think that opening it up wide is what they want to do, because I think they're looking at the PlayStation 4 numbers and they're going, man, this thing's selling through the roof. We need to get part of the numbers. And EA's not stupid.
Yeah.
They know that they need to move some copies of games that are going to put them over on Sony as well. But I think it's going to sell more on Xbox.
Sure.
I don't think Microsoft has anything to worry about when it comes to that.
I guess it really depends on how they advertise it, because like certain games, even though they're multi-platform, like you said, Call of Duty, people just sort of associate that with Xbox, and
or
all
Destiny.
the ads, and all the ads for even Destiny and Assassin's Creed, they're all PlayStation focused. And so do you think, I know I heard Destiny in general sold better on Xbox, but that number apparently didn't include bundled copies that came with PS4s. So I don't know how real that number is, but I'm assuming the advertising is probably going to sway people, at least the average consumer, not the people that are, like us, that are reading the news every day and things like that. They'll see the PlayStation commercial and they'll just think, make that connection.
I think it's how much EA wants to sell on PlayStation. I think it's how aggressive they go with the advertising. We said it before. I believe we said it before the show. Microsoft is an aggressive company, and let's be honest. That Destiny ad they put out, where it was the men's cologne. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No,
they were basically told they weren't allowed to advertise Destiny for the Xbox One.
Okay.
They were selling it on the Xbox One, but they weren't allowed to advertise for it. I guess Sony, with the exclusive deal, had a time frame that they had boxed off. So what Microsoft did was they made like a men's cologne ad, and it was just a bottle of cologne that said Destiny on it, and it was something like "We have it too" or something like that, some weird thing like that. But Bungie actually went to them and said, "Take the ad down. Stop using the ad." So Microsoft's not afraid to do those crazy, ad campaigns and just to get people's attention over to them. So I don't think there's anything, and I don't know, man. I just feel like Sony's dropping the ball lately,
Sure.
and Microsoft's starting to build steam. Like it's like people forgot about why you bought a PS4 in the first place, and that was because you were anti everything that Microsoft was talking about at E3.
Yeah.
And
yes.
they're building momentum. It's they beat them at Christmas time, and people could say, hey, they dropped the price. That's part of the game.
They're making all the right moves.
Yeah, and honestly, if you look at Xbox right now, they had Sunset Overdrive this year. They're going to have Halo this year. They've got these really big games. And right now, when I'm looking at PlayStation, like I was always I've always been at least a two system guy, and I with N64 and PlayStation 1, and then GameCube and PlayStation 2, last generation Wii, PlayStation 3, and I really enjoyed the PlayStation stuff. But as of right now, there's not a single game that they have right now or that's being announced yet that I'm thinking I have to get that game. I mean, the one game that actually got me kind of excited was Infamous Second Son, because I platinumed the Infamous games.
Yeah.
But then the reviews come out and they're just okay, and like I didn't really connect to the characters, totally new characters, so I didn't feel like I had to jump on that bandwagon for that game. And then LittleBigPlanet, I'm a big LittleBigPlanet fan, and then the reviews for LittleBigPlanet came out, and it was like it wasn't that great because it was made by a different company.
It's a glitchy mess.
Exactly. So these games, the games that would have pulled me in, they're just not coming through.
And that's why I said to Josh in the beginning, like, it's not. I like PlayStation as well.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. I've always had two consoles, and I always looked at it like this, because I compared it to when I had the Super Nintendo and the Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both systems had the same third-party games.
Yeah.
But where were you going for your exclusives? So I always look at it like this: Microsoft and Sony remind me of the SNES
Sega
against the Genesis.
Sure.
They both have the same both have the same third parties. Where are you going for the exclusives?
Yeah.
Now I tend to always go to Sony because I like their exclusives better than I did Microsoft. Problem is Sony's exclusives are broken right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, even some of the third party stuff is broken, and it's like you're paying $60 for a game that doesn't work, and that is insane.
Drive Club
Patch to come along. Yeah.
That's about as ugly as it gets, yeah.
I mean, when you got, you had Assassin's Creed Unity come out, that was broken. You had LittleBigPlanet come out, that was broken.
Yep. Drive Club didn't even work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mess right now, and it's they really need to get a game out there. And you know what the sad thing is I was going to actually bring this up in the predictions, but I'm in a position where I think they're going to rush Uncharted because they're so desperate for a game.
Sure,
that's in my predictions too.
Yeah,
Something
that I hope is that Naughty Dog has enough pull that they could be like, pump the brakes. We need to make sure this is right, and that's the only. Yeah.
I mean, they lost a lot of people at Naughty Dog. The writer left and went to I think
she went to Star Wars.
Visceral Games. Yeah, she went to Visceral Games, which is the Dead Space people who was doing Star Wars game.
Right.
And then they lost, I forget, like just some key people on that team. So it's going to be interesting to see how that game turns out.
But listen, it's coming from the guys who made Last of Us, so I have no fear. But here's another problem. Neil Druckmann's also working on the Last of Us movie.
Oh yeah.
So how much time is he really dedicating to Uncharted? And it's like, I just have some fears, man. And I really want to see. I do. I love Sony. I really want to see them pull it together. But they've always been the type of company that is the underdog, and then they mount the comeback. Sure. They never came out the gates as the Greyhound and jetting across. Now they're in a situation where they're ahead, but Microsoft is just nipping at the heels on them.
Yeah. So we'll see what turns out with that. I mean, it'll be an interesting year.
It's definitely gonna be interesting.
Sure. Well, let's get on to
I think E3 is their proving ground for Sony. Sure. They need to come back like they did when they beat Microsoft down in the dirt. They need to come back like they
in
did.
2013.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. They owned them, and that's what they need. They need to come out this E3 and own them, and that's it.
Sure. Well, let's get on to Nintendo real quick in the news. I mean, I've got a lot of Nintendo stuff, but I'll try to cut down, just throw a couple short stories out there. By the way, Josh, this part of one of my Nintendo news stories. Did you know that Nintendo owned the rights to Fatal Frame now? I don't know if you knew that or not. And they've been releasing Fatal Frame games in Japan, but they're just not coming over to America. But the last Fatal Frame game that came out, roughly translated, it is Fatal Frame Black-Haired Shrine Maiden, which is a very odd name right now. It'll probably be changed if it comes to America.
Did you ever play that back on the PS2? Did you ever play that?
No. I know you were a big Fatal Frame guy, though.
Oh, my gosh. If you want a true horror experience, go no further
Sure.
than that game. Yeah, it's.
And I mean, a lot of people really enjoy that game, and they're trying to convince Nintendo we want this game. And the creator of Devil's Third, you know, that game that's coming out, he's a good friend with the guy that works on the Fatal Frame games, and he sort of posted on Twitter, "Hey guys, don't worry, we're listening to you," you know, like hint, hint. So a lot of people are thinking maybe E3 they're going to announce, Nintendo's going to say, "Hey, we're bringing Fatal Frame to America," which I think Nintendo, the Wii U definitely needs software, and to have a good, strong horror series exclusive to the Wii U would be fantastic.
Do you think the main part of that game that was so fantastic is it led you couldn't run away from the problem. You had to confront this camera.
You had to take, and hold up the gamepad to take the pictures.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I mean, it's going to really interact you with that experience. So
sure.
You guys, I want to play that game, but yeah, I probably won't get a Wii U. So.
Hey, last time we almost convinced you of Xenoblade, right? Last time Xenoblade Chronicles X almost got you.
Yep, that's true.
One of these days, we will have enough games to sway you, sir.
Maybe I'll buy you one. Maybe I'll just buy you one and send it out to
you.
you.
Bobby. Give me a hug.
Your children. Oh, man. The other thing in the news this week, Nintendo came out with their yearly financials, and they announced a bunch of stuff. One thing I had in my notes were a lot about Amiibo. I'm going to kind of change the story a little bit from the way I had it written down. I'll hit the key facts right now. Amiibo breakdown, how they're being shipped and sold percentage-wise. 63% are coming to America. 23% are going to Europe. 11% in Japan, and 3% in Australia. So even though Americans are complaining they can't find them, America is getting a very large quantity of them. It's just the problem is the scalpers are buying them up and selling them. I'm assuming that's where they're going.
Yeah, and if you want to believe Nintendo's report of that the ports in California, the strike is the issue too.
Sure.
I don't know. Don't get me started on this. This is a bad
No,
topic
go
for
for
me.
it. Hey, we're gonna have a Bobby rant.
Bobby
now.
rant. Yeah, Bobby rant time.
You know, here's the thing. Number one, Iwata comes out and says that they're shipping these things over to the United States and that games aren't being held up because they can fly them over. I'm sorry, but an Amiibo does not weigh more than a game. So if you can fly a game to the United States, why can't you fly Amiibo?
Sure.
I get the 3DS. The 3DS is heavy. You know, you're going to put that on a freighter and ship that over. But don't give me this line of nonsense that it's too heavy that you can't ship an Amiibo. It's a plastic toy in a little plastic cardboard package. Well, Bowser's a little heavy, but and King DDD's heavy, but the rest of them aren't heavy, man.
Sure, yeah.
At least you can. Like I was. I'm sorry to interrupt. But I was just going to say, I was at Best Buy recently, and you could find, at least you could find the Bowser and all the common ones there.
Yeah. I mean, and I got my Meta Knight. Well, one thing real quick to say, I got my Meta Knight today from Best Buy, which I was excited about because, with this whole shipping thing messing up, a lot of these Amiibo, they're saying, you're not going to get them until late summer. And I pre-ordered this thing a long time ago. Every Amiibo
I've actually started importing them.
Sure, yeah.
I had Meta Knight 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I imported them from Japan, and it's ridiculous. And that's where I don't believe that story either, as well, because either they're not selling in the other parts of the world, or I don't understand. If you're saying that Japan is only getting 11% was that, or 23%?
Yep, 11%.
Okay, Japan's getting 11%, but I can import them from Japan and get them quicker than we can get them in the United States?
Sure.
No, something ain't adding up.
Sure.
That don't make no sense to me.
And I mean, another big problem with the Amiibo is this whole exclusive deal. Because, Rosalina at Target, and then they oversold and they canceled a bunch, and they're like, oh, no, we're not even restocking them. They came and said, we're not even going to restock it. And then which one did Walmart? No, Toys R Us. Toys R Us had Lucario, and that had a whole bunch of problems. And Best Buy had Meta Knight, and that had a bunch of problems. And now they're saying Walmart, rumored right now anyway, they're going to get an exclusive gold version of the Mario Party Mario Amiibo. So I don't know why they're doing this whole exclusive thing. It's screwing everything up.
The exclusives are a problem.
Yes.
Because, again, here's the other issue. You're not giving release dates. So you have these exclusives, that are based to the stores, but you're not even given release dates of when they're coming out,
Sure.
and that makes no sense at all. If Best Buy knows they're getting them on the 20th, then why are they not advertising we're going to have them on the 20th? You can pre-order them and get them.
Yeah.
I think everybody's to blame.
Sure.
For me, personally. I feel like Nintendo's to blame because they love this. And they're getting free advertising and everybody's eating it up. The retailers are to blame because you look at a situation like Rosalina, where they go up on the website, you could pre-order them, everybody pre-orders them, they sell out in 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they come out and go, oops, we had a computer glitch. You weren't allowed to pre-order them. They cancel everybody's pre-orders. The next day, the same thing happens.
Yeah.
Then they go, oops, it was a glitch. They cancel the pre-orders again.
Yeah. And then people just...
three times. Three times. Same thing with Lucario. They put Lucario up for sale. Everybody pre-orders them. And then somehow an email I got one of those emails. An email goes out to everybody and goes, we can't meet your order, so we canceled your order.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later they go, that was an internal error. We don't know how that email got sent out. Somebody typed it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't just miraculously type itself up and go.
Right.
So somebody types that up and sends it out, and the whole thing has been a disaster.
Sure.
And someone at Nintendo needs to wake up and go, we need to fix this, or all these people that are buying our Amiibo right now aren't going to be around to buy them.
Exactly.
Because they're going to get fed up and quit.
Exactly. So hopefully they can get that, figured out. Only time will tell. Only time will tell, because right now there is the next wave of Amiibo. Like, I want to, this got Ness and Wario and Lucina and like all these other great Amiibo that I want to pre-order, and no, you just can't do that yet. So hopefully that'll open up soon in America and we can start ordering those as well. But
they've already pre-ordered them in the UK and Japan.
Oh, well, yeah, and that's another weird thing. Maybe because of, like, America, you're too greedy. We're going to start spreading the love a little
People, everybody else get them first.
We'll see what happens. Well, Josh...
That's what's causing our frenzy.
Right. Well, Josh, I know you just love this Amiibo talk because, you just love Nintendo.
Oh, I just gobble those things up right there.
I've got another news story for you. We're going to move out of console-specific news and just hit a couple multi-console things. The first thing, which is pretty big news, Bethesda they're coming to E3 for the first time ever. Everyone's saying it's got to be Fallout. And if it's Fallout, I would be so happy. Because, well, I loved Fallout 3. I actually liked Fallout New Vegas even more. It was probably in my top 5 favorite games of all time. I put probably 80, 90 hours in that game. For me, that is a lot of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what do you think's going to happen? I mean, are you excited to see if it is Fallout? What if it's not Fallout? Like, what would happen?
Well, I think that because they're forming their own conference, there has to be something that they're going to announce that would drive them to do this. Or, I mean, else they could have just went in another conference like Sony's or Microsoft's and just, put their games in there. But I'm with you, James. I mean, another Fallout game would just be incredible. Fallout 3 is probably my top 2 games of all time. I put in over 80 hours into that game. And I'm
we've
just
talked
really
about
excited
this before.
to hear
You're
about
more a Fallout 3 guy. I'm more of a Fallout New Vegas guy.
Yeah. I love both games, but I mean, just the breadth of what you could do in Fallout 3 and the tone of it. Liam Neeson. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
No, but
for a second when you said Liam Neeson, I was thinking Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, good lord.
That would have been great. Fallout 33 to 3rd.
Yes.
That's not good.
I was going to ask Bobby. I was going to ask you if you played Fallout, but then I remembered the whole first-person shooter thing. You're probably not into that.
Unfortunately. And you know what? I have friends that played it and they love it. They love it to death, and I know that they would be through the roof in order to get a new Fallout. But I'm with you guys. There's no way in the world. They got to be doing something huge.
Sure.
Because what do? You walk out for 10 minutes and go, Fallout 5, 4, whatever, and then walk off? No, you got to have something big. Because they could just merge with Sony if that was the case. So
absolutely. Right.
They have something coming.
Sure. So we'll see. That could be pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, I guess right now, talking about being bargain gamers before, a segment we had last time, all about bargain gaming. We call it My 2 Cents. So hit it, Josh. That was fantastic.
Totally off the top.
So real quick, I'll just hit up some bargains that are going on right now for the next few weeks. Right now at GameStop, you can trade in this is through March 1st, from now through March 1st. You can trade in a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360, and they'll give you a $125 credit toward a PlayStation 4. So, and that's only PlayStation 4. You can't put it in toward an Xbox One. Wow. But that would bring the PlayStation 4 down to $275. So if you don't...
Are you serious?
Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, if you take the 125 off, I mean, it takes down 275. So that, as long as you're not attached to your 360 or your PS3, that if you want a PS4, that might be the way to go for that.
Man, the only reason I haven't bought a PS4 is I want a special edition Arkham Knight.
Oh,
like, I want
a
Batman logo on it, and that's the only thing that's holding me from. And now you just see this deal, and I'm sitting there going, "That PS3 is done. I'm sending that baby in."
Don't give it.
You can
give
put
it up
stickers.
yet.
You can just put a couple stickers on it, and you'll be good.
That's true. That's true.
There you go. Yeah. On the Xbox side of things, something we mentioned last time, it's still going to the end of the month. The Kinect version of Xbox you can get for $449, so that's $50 off. That's pretty much anywhere. The Kinectless version is still $350, so that's a pretty good deal. Another thing, Xbox just started. It's now through February 23rd. They're doing what they're calling the Xbox Ultimate Game Sale, and they've got tons of games. It's all digital on the shop. Alien Isolation you can get for $24. Fantasia, Music Evolved. I mean, if you do have a Kinect, you can get it for $20. Shadows of Mordor, $30. You can get even smaller digital games. Costume Quest 2, $5. Limbo, $4. The Telltale Game Collection, which is every single Telltale game currently on Xbox One. So Walking Dead 1 and 2, a Game of Thrones Season Pass, a Borderlands Season Pass, all those games, you can get it for $55. It's normally $20 a season. So that is a really good deal. So if you have an Xbox One, go ahead and check that out. Also, Amazon's having some sales right now for, actual physical copies of games. You can get Destiny for $30. Wolfenstein: The New Order you can get for $40, which is if you haven't played it, Wolfenstein: The New Order is probably one of those games that easily got overlooked last year, and I absolutely loved it. It's in my I'd say top 5, maybe top 4 games last year. That game, I really liked it a lot. And Far Cry 4 you can get for $38, or Dragon Age you can get for $40. So there are, if you check Amazon right now, check out their their gold deals, whatever they call it on there, because they've got some really good game deals going on right now.
Oh, and by the way, if you're not too snowed in tomorrow, Best Buy has their Gamers Unlocked program. That's usually $100. It's $30. And you get 20% off all new games, pre-orders, 10% off all used games, and 10% towards trade-ins. Wow. It's just a real... That's 2 years. 2 year also.
So do you get anything else? I mean, you get all those discounts. So like I said, it's $30.
There's some reward program too where you add up points and you might be able to redeem them for something like GameStop's one that they do. But yeah, I mean, you can't go 2 years for $30 that you'll make up your money in just 3 new games that you buy.
Wow, I mean that's really good. I don't have any Best Buys near me. The only reason I got Meta Knight, I had to have it shipped to me because the closest Best Buy is almost an hour away from me. So that's not a very viable option for me.
Yeah, when you move to Cincinnati, it's a little easier to find.
Right. I mean, so Bobby, do you know of anything else going on, special game-wise over the next few weeks?
No, the only thing No.
I was just going to say,
Josh
the PlayStation, Xbox Gold, the flash sales that go on, you got to hit those up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's true.
Well, with that, hopefully guys can use some of that, save some of your gaming dollars, pick up some good stuff, especially that PS4, trade in the PS3, Xbox One. It's a really good deal. Yeah. But now we're going to move on to, what we've been playing in a section we call Time Logged.
Time Logged!
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start off with you, Bobby. Tell us what games you've been playing, or I guess a few games you've been playing recently.
Earthbound. I went back and actually started playing that. I never beat it back in the day, so I decided last weekend I was going to give it a serious run through.
There you go.
I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I really, really like it. I dabbled in it years ago when it was released, but I don't know, for some reason it just finally clicked. So that I've been playing a lot of. I'm embarrassed to say that I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
I tried it out because everybody was jumping on. It's kind of like Candy Crush.
Oh, yeah,
but
sure.
It's for the 3DS. Set up very similar to Candy Crush, where you have so many lives, but the difference is like you battle a Pokemon. Like you'll have a Pokemon in front of you, and you have to match up other Pokemon. Like if you match up 3 Pikachu, you'll throw an electric, some electricity fire at the enemy you're against. So the idea is to beat them down and then try to catch them.
So it's like a Pokemon battle, but
yes.
Sure, that's kind of cool.
So it's been interesting. And then lastly, I restarted Animal Crossing. So,
oh my gosh, Animal Crossing! It's one you can always go back to. Always
James, you and that villager, James.
I know, dude. Oh my gosh, I love Animal Crossing. Well, lately,
and then I downloaded Monster Hunter 4.
Oh yeah.
Before we actually started this podcast, so
you got that ready to go. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm ready to go this weekend.
He's playing while we're podcasting.
We just can't see it, right?
Yeah, you can't see it.
Well, I mean, speaking of Monster Hunter, for me, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Last Friday, I got the special edition Monster Hunter 4 new 3DS XL, so I've been checking out that 3DS XL, which I really enjoy a lot. There a few things I really like, a few things I don't like about the 3DS. At first, I thought that second C stick, it felt a little tight. It sort of loosened up as I played, and it's much more comfortable. I really don't like how the stylus got moved to the bottom, and the way it's shaped, it's really hard to get in and out. And they moved the cartridge slot to the bottom, which I think is kind of odd. But everything else about the system, I mean, that super stable 3D, oh my gosh. When you play Animal Crossing with that, you can crank it all the way up, and that 3D is slick. It looks nice. Yeah. But to get back to what I was playing, Monster Hunter 4, I put about between 12 and 15 hours in so far over a week, which for me is actually, I mean, with that game being on 3DS is great because my wife, we'll go to bed, she'll go to sleep, and I can just lay up in bed, the lights out, just have the brightness down, and be playing my Monster Hunter while she's sleeping. So it works out really well. I can slay a couple monsters. So that's what I've been doing. It's been pretty much all Monster Hunter for me.
That's good.
And I love Monster Hunter, man. It's so good. But Josh, what have you been up to?
Well, being a budget gamer that I am, luckily I have a library that I can rent games from, and one game, Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD, I was able to rent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and by just playing that, the music is probably some of the best music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They cleaned up the graphics well. The only thing I don't like about it, and I never played 2 on the PS2, so I'm just getting my taste of it now. But I don't like. It's more like you just like gravitate towards what you're attacking. So you just like a button masher. You just keep pressing X, and you'll just sort of go around and hit whatever's closest, and it sort of takes the skill away. I recently played Kingdom Hearts 1.52 HD, and I hated that. I'll just be honest. Other than the music and the graphics, it was just the environments were bland. I mean,
yeah. But are you excited for Kingdom Hearts 3 though? I mean,
playing these games, it's not really making me excited, to be honest.
Gotcha.
I like playing it. My kids like watching me go through it too. Because of course they like the Mickey Donald Goofy thing going on. But yeah, I mean, if it's your thing, then that's great. But yeah, I'm just not.
When Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, I'm a big Disney guy. I love Disney. My wife and I, our honeymoon, it was Disney. So I really like Disney a lot. And I actually bought my PlayStation 2 to play Kingdom Hearts 1. And I really loved Kingdom Hearts 1. But the funny thing was, as time went by, I never got around to Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, I really like Kingdom Hearts. I just never got around to Kingdom Hearts 2.
And I remember enjoying Kingdom Hearts 1 too, but playing it this time, it's just...
Yeah, it just
you just realize the combat is just so tedious.
Sure.
I mean, I can't even go there. I was getting so frustrated, like you with Shadow of the Colossus,
Oh
not being
my
able to.
gosh, that
Yeah,
stupid camera.
yeah, exactly, the camera. So
Oh man, I was so mad.
feel your pain.
I remember you watching me like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "This stupid game," and I was so mad.
One of the best games ever,
Oh
James.
man. Oh man. Okay, well guys, now you sort of know what we've been playing. Now we're gonna get to the moment you've all been waiting for. We're gonna talk about, I guess, maybe our top game, maybe top two games. You can't decide. Our favorite games of 2014, and then after that, we're gonna move into our predictions for 2015. So I guess we'll throw it back at you, Josh. What was your favorite game for 2014?
Favorite game of 2014? Well, there's this little game called Dark Souls 2 that came
Ah,
out.
okay.
And I don't even think it was good as the original Dark Souls or even Demon Souls. But what I loved about, like I said, I'm just a Dark Souls fan all the way through. The
Sure.
combat, the environments, I could really get into that.
Sink
Um,
your teeth into it, yeah.
right. It's just what made this game not as good as Dark Souls 1 in my opinion was that Dark Souls 1 had this continuity where you could just go from one environment to the other without
Okay.
having to teleport places. And in this one it's just a lot more convoluted and
Sure.
you have to use the bonfires to travel around a lot more. And then the bosses in Dark Souls 1, they were, these really big things that you had to beat. And then
Yeah.
number 2, they're more like just knights or variations of knights or mini bosses like that. So I
Gotcha.
didn't like it in that way, but I mean it's still a great game, and I can't wait for Dark Souls 2.
Oh, the
Scholar
remaster.
of First Sin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm definitely going to get that just because I want to play it again.
Sure. And I've never
And
played a Dark Souls game, and I think with that remaster on Xbox One might be a good place for me to jump in.
yeah, oh
So
yeah,
we'll see.
definitely.
Sure. I mean, for me, looking back on 2014, beginning of the year, all the way almost to like the 3/4 of the way through the year, up to about October or so, my game of the year was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for Wii U. That game, just playing it, it reminded me of why I love video games. It looked fantastic. The soundtrack was great. The gameplay was just phenomenal. And then I got to the end of the year, and I played Bayonetta 2. And in Bayonetta 2, the combat in that is so tight and so slick. It there's nothing else like it. Like I enjoyed the God of War games on PlayStation. It just blows it out of the water. Now the original Bayonetta 1 I never played until Bayonetta 2 came out. And with that, it came with Bayonetta 1. So I played through Bayonetta 1
that's
first,
fun.
and I was just like, okay, Bayonetta 1 is okay. Like I enjoyed it, but I'm thinking, oh man, am I really gonna enjoy Bayonetta 2? Because playing Bayonetta 1, I'm like, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but there was a lot of problems with it. And then I played Bayonetta 2. Oh my goodness. That game was so
OMG.
good. And I don't know if they'll ever make a Bayonetta 3. It's rumored they might be working on it, but oh my gosh. I mean, it's just so good. But going back again today when I was making my list, I'm thinking maybe it is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So I'm at a really tight choice. But if I go with one today with the mood I'm in, I'll say Bayonetta 2. But if you ask me tomorrow, it might be Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. But that's it for me. What about you, Bobby?
For me, I'll break it down with 3 systems. For Sony, PlayStation 3, my favorite was Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
I know it came out before that, but that was the first time I played it. Was last year. Loved it. Can't speak highly enough about it.
Yep.
For the Wii U, it's got to be Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah. That is. Yeah.
I mean, I put 133 hours in. And,
Oh, wow. That's a good amount of
I
time.
put some time into that one. So it was just
Mind to get your oil
so
changed.
beautiful. So beautiful. The music was phenomenal. Like
Oh,
soup to
the
nuts.
soundtrack
That was
on that
just,
is so good.
and the little touches, just going back and redoing old tracks
Sure.
and doing them in HD was amazing.
That game is so
And then the
beautiful,
last one,
too.
I'm going to do an indie game that I actually played on the 3DS. I started on the 3DS and I actually went and bought it again on the Wii U. Was SteamWorld Dig.
Oh, I haven't played that yet.
That
Yeah.
was
That
great
game
on the
is
Vita.
so good, so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
And let me
vast
tell you something.
exploration.
If you guys ever follow Image and Form, the developers,
Okay.
greatest group of guys. We tweet all the time back and forth.
Huh.
Just amazing guys. And let me tell you, they're working on SteamWorld Heist.
Oh, yeah,
now,
I saw trailers
and,
for that.
Yep.
Dude, they just do some phenomenal stuff. But in the Wii U version, there's an Easter egg in it. That's a little different than the 3DS version. I don't like to tell people what the Easter egg is, but
just leave it. You want to just keep it in the shadow.
If you're a Nintendo fan, you'll love it.
Well,
just put it that way.
Cool.
So it was good, but that would be my 3.
Okay, awesome.
I want to throw out an honorable mention.
Sure.
Though. Valiant Hearts. And did you play that, Bobby?
Oh my gosh! I totally forgot about Valiant Hearts. It's so good. I love that. I play.
It's the story. I'm not going to give anything away, but it has one of the best stories, best endings I've ever seen in the game. And plus, my son was watching me play it, and it just has such good. I hope they make more games like that because of the history,
World War One,
right?
And they give you like as you collect stuff. Yeah, as you collect stuff, it shows you like real photos and gives you real letters, and like the whole game is based on real letters that people wrote World War One.
It's a special game. I hope
that's
they
the
make
Ubisoft
more games
one,
like
right?
It.
That was
Ubisoft one.
Yeah.
The same boat made Rayman,
And I wanted to get it, but the problem was that they didn't put it on the Wii U, and I don't have a PS4.
Sure.
Is it on the PS3?
That's true.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it is. I don't
check
know.
out.
That's a good
check
question.
It out.
I have to find out. If it is, I'll get it. I'll definitely get it.
Or if when you get a PS4, get it. It's something that it's one of those games when you beat it, it's like, I mean, I went back and 100%ed it. Because I just enjoyed it so much, got every achievement. But it's a game where once you play it through once, it's a game that just sticks with you. Like you put down the controller and you just sit back and you're just like, wow. Like you don't get to put it into words. It's just
you're sort of speechless.
The trailer during E3 left me like, it tugs at the heartstrings just watching the trailer, you know? And it's like, I gotta,
Now, it is a little bit slower pace, though. I mean, it's a puzzle game at heart.
Yeah.
But the storyline is great.
You have to check it out.
Okay, well, I guess we'll hop into our predictions. The way we're going to do that, we're each going to say one prediction for each console. So one for Sony, one for Microsoft, one for Nintendo. I guess we'll go around. We'll just start. What do you got? Okay, how about we start with Sony? Because I know you guys are ready with Sony. Josh, what's your first prediction for Sony for 2015?
And this one bothers me, but I think it's the right decision if they end up doing this in the end. Uncharted. I don't think Uncharted 4 will come out in 2015. And Naughty Dog is Sony's flagship developer. The Uncharted series is their flagship series. So they really need to hit a home run. Like when this releases, it has to be top 5 games of all time good, I feel. And I think to realize that potential, they are going to need to delay it to 2016, which, I want it to come out sooner, but at the same time, I want them to have the time to make the best game they can possibly make. And so, in the end, that's one of my predictions. I think it's going to happen.
Okay, Bobby, what you got for us?
Josh stole mine. So,
was that the exact one?
Yeah, it actually was. But my initial thought was, and I said that I think that Sony's going to try to rush Naughty Dog, but I think Naughty Dog has enough pull that they're just going to say, listen, same thing with Last of Us. We just need a couple more months to get this thing fine-tuned and good to go. But I will, I'll move it a little different. I think they cancel the Last of Us movie.
Okay.
I think this year they're just not going to do it. I think it doesn't need a movie, that's first off. But
you think it'll go like the way of BioShock and just disappear?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like The Last Guardian, kind of just disappear for about 10 years.
Right. And they'll be like, no, we're still working on it. We promise.
Yeah, we still got that patent on that game.
We have written on a napkin somewhere. We'll be good. But all the actors will be too old by then, not to completely recast.
Yeah, exactly.
or they could use the older actors and make them, through CGI, make them look younger, right? The magic of cinema.
CGI fixes
mine for Sony, it's also game related. David Cage, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's the guy that created Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah.
I think at this year's E3, he is going to fully announce what their next game is. Because I know when they revealed the PS4, if you remember, they showed like the old wizard guy, like his head or whatever, and like, look how pretty this is. But there's no game behind it. Exactly. And so I really, really liked Heavy Rain. And even though Beyond Two Souls got a lot of flack, I actually really enjoyed it. So and that's one game not having to, that might be the one game on PS4 where I'm like, I gotta get it, but we'll see. But I think that David Cage will sometime this year, either E3 or one of those different events this year, before the end of the year is over, they will announce the title and pretty much tell you what their next game project is. That is my prediction.
Boom. Blanket.
Boom. Okay, I guess now we'll go to, because I talked to you guys beforehand about Microsoft. You're like, I don't have anything for Microsoft. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys some time to think about the Microsoft one. I'm going to start with Nintendo. So, Bobby, go ahead and make your Nintendo prediction.
Okay, I've got 2 predictions for Nintendo. My first one is I think Animal Crossing comes to the Wii U this year. I think it's, or at least gets announced at E3, and then probably released next year, because they really need to get a lineup for next year. This year seems to kind of be laid out for the most part. That's one. The second one that I think they announced at E3 is, I believe that they port the Luigi's Mansion game that Namco made for the arcade. I believe they port that over to the Wii U.
Huh, okay.
So that would be, and I think that's so far off the radar that nobody even sees it coming, and I think that's the one that, I think you're going to see that happen.
Sure. My prediction for Nintendo for this year, it's actually in the news a lot right now. It's that standard 3DS with the faceplates. I think that before the year's over, the standard 3DS is going to be released. They might even announce at E3. I think the standard 3DS will be released in America before the year's over.
Yeah, they have to.
Because, I mean, they've got that fan base that really want it, and they're just sort of, bleeding money by not releasing it. So we'll see.
They're dropping the ball.
Exactly.
They're dropping the ball.
So, Josh, what do you think for Nintendo?
Okay, guys, this is semi-bold. I think that there's been rumors about them working on another type of system of some sort. And I think it's going to involve something where the Wii U pad might be just released as a standalone device. Maybe have a Wii U system with it that's just smaller, that you can put in games, but that you can take the device maybe over Wi-Fi networks like with
like with Vita. Sure, with the new Xbox
and they'll make it so that you can go
remote
to other
play.
places over Wi-Fi. Right, remote play, and maybe download games on that pad. So you can just take it and play games on the pad wherever you go. Like,
you are a very ambitious man.
Yeah. And that would actually sway me towards, hey, maybe I should, get on this Wii U action. But
you never know.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying more of what I like to see from Nintendo. But
okay, well, I guess I'll do my Microsoft prediction first, so you guys can have a little bit of time with that. My prediction, Gears of War. They talked about Black Tusk. They're coming up with the new Gears of War, and honestly, of all the Microsoft series, Gears of War is my favorite. And I think that Gears of War, they will have a collection announced at E3, and it will come out this fall, because they need to have a collection of all the Gears games together to build that hype. So next year, when they release Gears, which I think will probably happen, that people will still have that fire for that series, because they just played through, oh yeah, I remember how good these games were, and they went through and played them again, like an HD remaster of the Gears collection. So I think that's going to happen this year.
You had to take that one, James.
I absolutely did.
That's all I had in my mind.
Oh, no!
They'll make a Gears of War HD. Never mind. Bobby, you go. I gotta think of something else now.
Good.
I'm probably going to steal your next one.
That'd be hilarious.
I think there's one platform that Minecraft is not on.
Yep.
And since Microsoft bought Minecraft, and since Phil Spencer seems to be kind of open-minded, I think you see Microsoft go to Nintendo and get this Ucraft game squashed, and they move Minecraft onto the Wii U.
And sure. Do you have like Nintendo?
Either that or you see them sue Ucraft and get that shut down.
Sure. Okay. That works.
But I really think that I think that this is the year that you wind up seeing Minecraft finally make its way to a Nintendo platform.
Gotcha. Okay, Josh, we gave you some time. Do you have anything that you can pull out of your back pocket, sir?
Yeah. All I could think about was that HoloLens.
Oh yeah.
Thing that they announced.
Sure.
I think they'll might at E3 or maybe at some other press conference go more into detail about the applications gaming wise for it and
Okay.
what it can mean for that space. So I think sometime this year they'll hit on what that could be.
Okay. So just more information on HoloLens on the game side of things.
Right.
Okay. That works. Okay, gentlemen, we've made our predictions, so I guess we're going to start wrapping up the show here. Thank you guys for listening. We really enjoyed making the show for you. This is a bi-weekly show, so every other week we're releasing it on Fridays for you guys. Our next episode coming up, episode 3, we're going to be talking about handheld gaming. So, we're going to go everywhere from, the Game Boy to the 3DS, and the Vita and the PSP, we're going to be talking about handheld gaming. And also during that show, I'll give my review for the new 3DS, since I've had my hands on that for a while. I want to thank Bobby for joining us today. Hopefully he had a good time.
Yes, thank you, Bobby.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And just remind the people where they can find you, on YouTube, Twitter, all those places. Where can they find you at?
At the Geek Gurus. You can look me up on Twitter, Instagram at the Geek Gurus, Facebook.com/the Geek Gurus, and just look up the Geek Gurus on YouTube and you'll find my channel.
Awesome. And you can always find us as well. You can find us on Facebook. I know it took a little bit of time to find us on iTunes, but we are now listed pretty much on any podcast platform because, like I said, I've got my Windows phone and we're on that Windows, the Microsoft Music Store. We're on iTunes. Just look up Life of Gaming Podcast. You can find us and make sure to rate us. We really like that rating. And if you guys have any feedback, make sure to get a hold of us. Let us know. We're always trying to make the show better. You can also find us on Twitter at Life of Gaming Pod. We're also on Google+, Life of Gaming Podcast, and on WordPress. So we're pretty much everywhere. So if you guys want to find us, you know where to find us. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we want to be a very community-driven podcast. So if you are out there creating something awesome, we want to hear about it. If you're making a YouTube channel doing, what Bobby's doing, or maybe you're just doing, a couple unboxing videos. Maybe you have your own podcast. Maybe you're writing reviews. Whatever it is, we want to hear about it. We want to bring you on the show to let people know what is your life of gaming all about. So hopefully you come back to episode 3. Hopefully you enjoyed this show. And until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.